We're here with Shane Piche. He's the candidate for North Providence Town Council, the at-large seat held by Alice Brady currently. Alice was invited to this debate but declined our invitation. My name is Ethan Shorey. I'm a reporter with the Valley Breeze newspaper, and we're going to start right out here. So Shane, if you want to introduce yourself to the residents of North Providence.
Thank you, Ethan. First, I would like to thank the Valley Breeze for hosting this debate and passing along the invite to me to speak here today. I'd like to thank Ethan for moderating. My name is Shane Piche. I'm a lifelong resident of the town of North Providence. I've been there almost 30 years. I live in the Woodhaven section of town. That's where I was raised. I was fortunate to grow up there, very proud of where I was raised. My grandparents moved to this town in 1977. It was a lifelong accomplishment for them, and I'm happy that I had the opportunity to grow up there and be raised by them. This election upcoming here on November 4th is a very important election in our town's political scene, in our government. We have a counselor who, as she pointed out at the last debate, has a problem with recusals. Her words were, without her recusals, I would have no platform to run. And I would like to say that she is absolutely right. I'm glad she acknowledged the fact that her recusals are a problem, and she's right. If she could do her job 100% of the time, and she could represent the people of North Providence to the best of her ability and do what's best for the residents, there would be no reason for anyone to seek the office. But the fact of the matter is, Mrs. Brady is unable to represent us 100% of the time. She's claimed throughout this campaign that I will say anything to get elected. She says that right here in her ad. The only things I've said are things that came from investigative, by the way, award-winning investigative reporter Jim Hummel, who did a report on Mrs. Brady called The Family Affair. And in that report, he discovered her conflicts that caused her to not be able to vote on 75% of our town's budget. These egregious conflicts are unacceptable. And as a community, we need people that will represent us 100% of the time, and that's what I will do once elected on November 4th.
At one point during the debate the other night, you asked your opponent what she's done to improve life for taxpayers, essentially. Were you satisfied with her answer, and what are 2 or 3 initiatives you would undertake to improve things?
Well, absolutely not. I was not satisfied with her answer. In fact, I don't really believe it was an answer at all. I don't think she's pointed to anything she's done in the last 4 years that have improved the quality of life for our residents in the town, and that's again part of the reason I'm running. There are a lot of things that we can do in this community and take advantage of the resources that we have, and during her tenure in office, Mrs. Brady can't point to anything that she's done to improve the quality of life. We still have residents whose houses are being flooded. We still have roads that are, as she stated, in deplorable condition. I can tell you that under my watch, I would not have anything in the town considered neglected and in deplorable condition. I think it's important that we have representation that's looking out for our best interest. She can make all the claims that she wants, regarding where I stand, but the fact of the matter is I'm an independent candidate. I didn't seek backing from any party because the only party I want to represent is the town of North Providence. And if the administration does something that I agree with, I will support them 100%. And any member on the town council that brings a good idea forward that's going to move our community forward and do the right thing and improve the quality of life for our residents, I will support that 100%. And I think that's important. I think it's important that you're not tied to a faction, that you're not going to be a vote for anybody. I'm a vote for the residents of North Providence. And that's what I plan to do. Mrs. Brady, in her time in the council, her voting record shows it clear. She's voted at least 98% of the time with a particular faction, and those votes have cost us money. The fact of the matter is those votes have cost revenue that could be used to improve the quality of life in our town, such as our infrastructure, such as investing in our parks and recreation, and providing opportunity for our youth to better spend their time. Right now, we don't have enough things that the youth can do to occupy their time, and it causes them, unfortunately, to make some ill choices.
Your opponent accused you of being a rubber stamp for the mayor. She specifically mentioned the Google money, the town's $60 million, and held up a copy of the Valley Breeze saying that the mayor's waiting for your election. How do you convince people that you are not a rubber stamp based on that story? And what are your thoughts on the Google money and who should have authority over it?
Well, thank you for the question. Well, first of all, when it comes to a rubber stamp, I'd never be a rubber stamp for anybody, and I think the mayor clearly knows that. First of all, he's never asked me, and I don't think there's any elected official in the community that could say that he's asked them to vote a particular way. As a matter of fact, the mayor's advice to me, because he is a supporter, which I appreciate, was, as long as you vote with your heart, you're going to be all right, and that's what I explained to him. I will vote what I think is in best interest for the people at all times, regardless of whether another political, member of the council or anybody member of the town political scene likes it or not. It's what's best for the residents. So I can assure everyone that there will never be a rubber stamp. But at the same time, the fact of the matter is when there's something that comes before that council that's a good idea, it needs to be supported regardless of who brings it, whether it be the mayor or another person in the town. We cannot have this type of politics, and this is the problem. We have factions that don't look out for the best interest of our town. They look out for the best interest of them and their group, and that's the motivation to run. I've disagreed with the mayor on many topics. Some in the end I found that I was wrong. Some in the end I found that I was right. But I'll voice my opinion, and I'll vote what's in the best interest of the people 100% of the time. I can assure you of that. As for the Google funds, I've done the research. Mrs. Brady, she likes to, try to use her so-called education as a nurse to, prove something. But the fact of the matter is, I have done the research. Here is the equitable sharing guide, which those federal forfeiture monies, they fall under that equitable sharing guide. This is the 2014-15 budget ordinance, which a question was asked the other night. The fact of the matter is this budget ordinance changes every year, and nowhere does this budget ordinance discuss federal forfeiture monies. The federal forfeiture monies fall under the Equitable Sharing Act, and it clearly states that the Equitable Sharing Act, the police chief is the one, or it should be the director of public safety is the one who decides where the money's expended. That's a fact. I mean, unless there's something else they can prove otherwise. So as far as the Google funds, I feel that we need someone that's going to represent us and not tie up the money.
There's been a lot of discussion about all the vacant storefronts and buildings in town, especially along Mineral Spring Avenue. How do you plan on addressing that problem, lack of business, and what sort of business should town officials be focusing on attracting?
Well, thank you for the question. That's a very important question. There are a lot of vacant properties in the town commercially, and we need to fill those properties in order to expand our commercial tax base. There's monies and revenues that are out there that we can garner that will help stabilize and reduce our rate on the residential side and the commercial side. The first step we have to take is we have to make the difficult decisions to make our town more business friendly. We have to look at a long-term solution. We have to lower the cost to do business for our current small businesses in town because they're getting choked out of town. And it's clear when you see day after day businesses moving out, not moving in, and that's a problem for us. We need strong economic development. And my business background will allow me to help in that case. I can tell you that I've gone to many businesses in this town, and I asked them, I say, have you ever had an elected official walk in here and ask you, a member of the town council, ask you, what are your most difficult challenges? What could you use help with? They said no. And the fact is because most of the people that sit on that council, they've never really done business. They may claim that they have, but if they have, they would know the challenges that these businesses face. And they would look out for their best interest. The answer is not taxing and continue to tax. The answer is to expand your base, okay? And we don't need to expand our residential base anymore because that's pretty well full. The commercial base needs to be expanded. We have one of the heaviest traveled roads in the state of Rhode Island on Middle Spring Avenue, which is prime real estate. The property taxes are too high, therefore the rents are too high, the cost of businesses is too high. We have to work with our businesses. We have to come up with creative ways. I have a solution with a tax relief program that I think will help allow businesses to use some of the money that they would have to spend on taxes to invest into their business, into their property. And once elected, I will be able to, put the footwork to that plan together. But it works basically like this. A portion of the taxes will be relieved for a period of time so they can use that money to invest it into their property, therefore allowing them to increase their opportunities to do business. I haven't seen any creative ideas or any acknowledgement of the council to make our town more business friendly, and I think that's a big problem for us in this community.
A lot has been made of the pictures of you with girls at clubs. Do they call your character into question, as your opponent suggests? And should you even have to feel badly about something like this?
Well, I don't feel badly. You know, there are pictures that are on Facebook. A lot of us have pictures on Facebook. I was a promoter in this state for a long time, thrown many parties, many significant parties in Rhode Island's nightlife. And pictures are pictures. I mean, you know, they can try to spin it any way they want, but I'm sure if you went through, you know, anybody's pictures, you may see something that you could spin to be questionable. When you talk about character, here's character. I'm sitting here at a debate that I was invited to speak about the issues of North Providence, and next to me is what it always seems to be, is an empty chair. That's what Mrs. Brady. You want to talk about character? You can show up to a debate and sit directly across from me one-on-one without your crafted answers and fit in a format that we can speak of directly and ask each other questions that are not carefully crafted by who knows who they were crafted by. Maybe you didn't even answer those questions the other night. The fact of the matter is, character is being able to stand up and face issues. You can talk about pitches and you can play on Facebook all you want. The fact of the matter is, I'm not wasting time on Facebook. I'm spending my time to provide solutions for the town. Something that in 4+ years on the town council, I have yet to see Ms. Brady do. And maybe that's the problem, Alice. I don't know. You know, where are you? You're on the sideline when it counts most. And that's a problem for the town. My whole, you're right, the platform that I'm running is because this is what it is. You are not here. You're not here for the people. And, you know, Facebook pictures from a 25th birthday 5 years ago, if those are the things that you want to call into question, you have the right to do so. But the records speak for themselves. You sit on the sideline when it matters most. I can be there for the people 100% of the time and look out for their best interest. That's the situation we're up against. We talk about character. Character is people that solve problems, not point at them and run when they have an opportunity that they could address them. We could sit here one-on-one and discuss these issues and not have a format that you know, gives you an opportunity to carefully craft your answers, as those are your own words. So I think that you know, those that know me best know, and will show on November 4th when we win this election what character is.
All right, switching gears a little bit here. What is one of the most meaningful things you've ever done?
That's a great question, thank you. One of the most meaningful things I've ever done was stay and take care of my grandmother. She raised me pretty much all my life and gave me a great opportunity. And as life went on, I had some opportunities that would have allowed me to travel and leave the state of Rhode Island. But because of what she did and sacrificed for me, I stayed to make sure that she lived the rest of her life in a comfortable state and had someone there for her at all times. And that was that is probably the best thing that I did, was be able to stay with her until her last day, until her last breath. She was a great woman, and she was my inspiration. And I think that that, along with the ability in the birth of my child, are probably the two greatest things that I've ever done. And at this time, I'm proud because it allowed me to stay here and do what I'm doing, because this community needs representation. I grew up in it. I'm very, very proud of it. There were times that I was frustrated. There were times where I felt like I wanted to leave. And a lot of people have. A lot of my friends have. I watched them leave. But this community shouldn't have to feel that way. Everyone that lives in this community should be proud of where they live. Everyone deserves that right. And their representation, their elected officials, should be looking out for that best interest. And that was the motivation for me to do this. It comes to the fact that why should I have to leave a place that I grew up in and I love so much because of mismanagement and political factions? That's what's motivated me to do this. So I think the best thing that happened to me was my grandmother. She kept me here, and then when, the birth of my child, she, you know, is the motivation to do this and stay here and give her the opportunity to grow up in a community like I did. And I think every child in this community deserves that, and I would say that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of.
So your opponent has accused you of saying anything to get elected. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, that's a funny accusation, actually, because the things that I've said came right from award-winning investigative reporter Jim Hummel. Everything that we've talked about, everything that we said in this campaign, came directly from his report and Mrs. Brady's voting record. So for her to claim that I'll say anything, the only things I'm saying of what were presented by an award-winning investigative reporter, and that's unacceptable. And her recusal records, which we have here, show that what Mr. Hummel said is absolutely correct. The other night she talked about that she voted on 97% of all the issues that came from the, that came before the council. We've never accused her of anything other than not being able to vote on the budget. She can vote on all the stop signs and street signs she wants. The fact of the matter is, the budget is what the people pay for. And that's what they need representation regarding, the budget. And when you can't vote on police, fire, and school matters, and you have to recuse yourself, and she even made a comment, I believe, the other night that said, it doesn't matter. She was something to the effect, it doesn't matter, the vote doesn't matter anyway, we're just voting on just a vote. I said, well, then why are you even there? Why do you have the job? No, the vote is there to approve or decide not to approve the budget. Now, Mrs. Brady has said that she's voted on every budget, yeah, as a whole. My issue is, if you're ethically barred from voting on these matters that make up the budget, how are you even allowed to vote on the entire budget? Isn't that still a conflict? Because technically, you're approving what is in that budget. So it's still affecting your family directly, as far as I'm concerned, and I think it's a problem. I think Mr. Hummel pointed out properly, and that is the platform to run. This is an award-winning investigative reporter who did the due diligence to prove that Mrs. Brady did not vote and cannot vote on 75% of the budget. What makes up 75% of the budget? Police, fire, and school, and we are voiceless when it comes to those matters. November 4th, once elected, we will be voiceless no longer.
All right, and now closing statement.
Thank you. First, I would like to say again thank you to the Valley Breeze for hosting this, and thank you to Ethan for moderating this debate and inviting us here this evening, or I should say this afternoon. This upcoming election, as I said before, is about bringing positive change to our local government. We need representation that's an independent thinker, an independent mind, and I am an independent candidate, and I will represent the people of North Providence 100% of the time. As you can see here, we have one candidate who will stand here in front of you and ask questions and answer questions on the fly, and speak from the heart and speak directly what they mean, not a carefully crafted answer by who knows who answered that. I accepted this debate in this format because I believe in my candidacy, and I believe that I will be the best representation for North Providence. And I believe that what we've received for representation over the last 4 years of our current council at large is unacceptable. We need someone that will be here 100% of the time looking out for our best interests in this community. And unfortunately, we haven't received that, but we will. Come November 4th, once I'm elected, I respectfully ask for your vote, and once we sit in that office, we will fix the issues that we face in North Providence as a community. We will fix the roads, we will fix the infrastructure, we will make sure that our schools are state-of-the-art. We know we have issues that have to be addressed. We need people that are going to work together in our best interest 100% of the time. I'll leave you with this in closing. If you've owned a business, and I asked this question the other night to no answer from Mrs. Brady. If you owned a business and you had the opportunity to hire an employee, you could hire one who can only serve 25% of your customers, or you can hire another one that can work for you and serve all your customers 100% of the time. Which one would you hire? And that's why I'm asking for your vote, because I will be there and working for you 100% of the time. Thank you.